President Moon Jae-in met today at the Blue House with Washington's #2 diplomat to discuss issues related to the Korean Peninsula and their bilateral alliance. President Moon called for efforts to resume dialogue with North Korea, and the U.S. official expressed hope that the regime will respond to those efforts soon. Kim Min-ji reports.
President Moon Jae-in has asked U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Wendy Sherman to make efforts for the resumption of talks with North Korea. Sherman is in South Korea on an extended visit to Asia and paid a courtesy call on Moon at the Blue House on Thursday. Moon said he has high expectations for the U.S. diplomat, calling her a veteran who is familiar with the situation on the Korean Peninsula and in Northeast Asia. The South Korean leader recalled his summit with U.S. President Joe Biden in May, where they reaffirmed the need for dialogue and diplomacy for complete denuclearization and lasting peace on the peninsula. Sherman said that the U.S. hopes for an early response from Pyongyang to its proposal for talks, and she called for continued efforts with Seoul to coordinate on North Korea policy. She added that she plans to discuss the matter in depth with Chinese officials during her visit to Beijing later in the week. Earlier in the day, Sherman met with South Korea's Foreign Minister Chung Eui-yong, where they vowed close coordination across all levels to bring North Korea back to the negotiating table. Sherman was quoted as saying that the U.S. places high importance on the alliance as a linchpin of peace, stability, and prosperity in Northeast Asia and the Indo-Pacific. Chung called for close communication to implement follow-up measures to the outcomes of the South Korea-U.S. summit. On Friday, the U.S. diplomat will hold a bilateral strategic dialogue with her South Korean counterpart Choi Jong-gun before heading to Mongolia. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.